Alright guys, today is lesson number 2 on fractions to decimals and vice versa. So one of the things I realized is I need to get out of the way so you can actually see what's behind me. And so here's our title, so you should write this down. These are our notes, so you're responsible to take notes. Pause the video as needed. And you need to take notes. And I just had actually a great suggestion, and that is one of the challenges with the flipped class is that you can't ask me questions because you're not here with me. But you can write it in your notes or ask your parents because they're working with me to teach you. And but you feel free to write it down questions because when you come back for the first 15 minutes of class, we're going to keep working on this and you can ask those questions. All right. So, let's see, fractions to decimals. You will notice in your homework, we haven't done this yet, but there is a portion where it asks you to convert fractions to decimals. And this is actually nothing new. You've been doing this in 3rd and 4th grade. And here we're just going to take it a little bit further. And so what does that entail? Well, one of the first mistakes I find, or misconceptions, is kids don't kind of forget, what does this bar mean? I believe it's called a fraction bar. And yes, it does help us understand a fraction, express a fraction, but this also means division. It is synonymous with division. They mean the same thing. And so when you think of it that way, it kind of leads you in the direction of how to convert a fraction to a decimal. And so I'm going to just read this. And that's what's interesting is if you start reading a lot of different math expressions as like a sentence, it reveals more clues about it to help you understand and know how to work with it. So watch. This means 3 divided by 4. Or, how you usually see it, 3 divided by 4. Now, what's interesting is when you read it, obviously you're going to read top down, you're going to read left to right, but one of the tricky things is when you go to write it in a standard way to work with it, do you guys notice how the numbers switch position? And this is a common mistake is kids will do this. So look carefully, I'm going to get down on my knees. This is 3 divided by 4. Or 3 divided by 4. Kids oftentimes mess up and they write it this way because they keep the same number order. 3's first, 4's second, but this is wrong. In fact, let's just cross it out. Remember, you can pause at any time to take notes. This is wrong. This does not say 3 divided by 4. This does, and that kind of throws kids off. So you want to be really careful not to make that mistake. All right, so let's say it again. In fact, let's just write the steps. When you come to a fraction, read it. Let's put an exclamation. That's not an angry exclamation, that's excitement. Read it. And then write it. And then solve it. I like arrows. I like flowcharts. Flowcharts are just a way of showing step by step. And here's what's cool. You go to do it, did you forget? Come back and look at it. Look at the video, look at the notes again. Alright, so let's look at an example of this. Let's look at a very common one. Let's look at 1/2. We all have been working with 1/2 for some time. I want to change a fraction of 1/2 to a decimal. Alright, let's read it. Read it with me. 1 divided by 2. I know it feels silly, but read it out loud. 1 divided by 2. Oh, 1 divided by 2. Alright, well let's set that up. 1 divided into 2 equal parts. Now you might think, well, that's impossible. No, it actually is not impossible because we need to annex a 0. This was a 5th grade and a 4th grade concept. And why can I do that? Well, by putting in our decimal, we can put a place value here of 0/10. That means literally there's nothing, but what happens is it allows us to divide 1 into 2 parts. Now if you're like thinking, that is really weird, you can't do that. Think of it visually. Here's my chocolate bar. I have 1 chocolate bar. Can I divide that 1 chocolate bar into 2 parts? Sure, that. And that's why we need these zeros, because we're going to start moving into parts of a whole. All right, can 1 be divided by 2? No. How about 10? Yeah, 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Do you see how I placed my decimal up there? The answer is what? 0.5, really 5/10. Let's make that pretty. And when you finish that, you really need to write it out. 5/10 equals 1/2. Did I just go from a fraction to a decimal? I did. That's just what I did. Now these aren't too difficult. It's when you get to double digits where it's a little bit more difficult. And remember, guys, the goal is to learn how to do this. Understanding it better will happen in class. That's why I flipped it, so I can help you with that. Let's try another one. I'm going to erase this. Say it with me. Read it, write it, solve it. Let's try another common, popular one. How about 2/5? All right, well, I need to make a fraction into a decimal. So read it. 2 divided by 5. 2 divided by 5. Or 2 divided into 5 equal parts. And if you're thinking, again, I can't do that. You can do that. And that is why you need a decimal, because you're just going to start getting parts of a number. And so let's add a decimal, because guess what? We're going from fractions to decimal. Fraction to decimal. And then I'm going to move this up. And then we're just going to look at this as, hold on a second. So let's start. 2 divided by 5? No. 20 divided, yeah, 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And I'm done because I have nothing left. Aha! So, 4/10 is equal to 2/5. I just achieved my objective. Let's make that pretty. 2/5 is the same as 4/10. And yeah, I won't do any more guess whats. If you're falling behind, please just pause. I'm at 7 minutes and 32 seconds. So my goal is 10 minutes. Remember, read it, write it, solve it. And when you go to solve it, you're going to want to add your decimal. All right. So let's work some problems here. Let's go to page 92. Page 92. And on page 92, I'm going to try number 4. And this is a big boy. Uh-oh. 27/75. So you literally have 27 of something, and it's going to be divided into 75 equal parts. Well, let's read it. 27 divided by 75. 27, I'm fading, divided by 75. Well, let's make sure, let's translate that. That is the same as 75, almost messed up. Even I get confused. 27 divided by 75. So let me rewrite that so I have more space. 27 divided by 75. Okay, so what do? Add a decimal. And let's go ahead and add out 2 zeros, because I only want to go out to the hundredths place. I'm going to erase this. And so I'm showing you this one because this is about as hard as it's going to get. And you're dividing your dividend. Is that right? No. Your divisor, it has 2 digits. So same strategy. Let's move up our decimal. Can 2 be divided by 75? No. 27? No. 270? I'm going to get rid of that. Yes. And here's where you just have to start working with estimates. So I'm going to say 4 times. I'm going to come over here and try. Let's just see here. 4, 20, carry the 2, 28, 30, 300, 270. Not going to work. So instead of 4 times, I'm going to try 3. And I like to leave my work up in case I need to come back to it. 15, 1, 21, 22. Okay, yeah, that works. So 3 times 225. I'm going to subtract. That's a 6, 4. Bring down my 0. All right. Can 450 be divided by 75? Yes. We know that 4 is not going to be big enough. 5. I'm going to try 6. In fact, 6 is going to be double 3. So it looks like it's going to work. And yes, that's 450. I need to be neater. Sorry. So 6 times 75 is 450. So 36 hundredths is the same as 27/75. Let me circle that. Both of those express the same thing. Both of those express the same thing. All right. Where are we at in time? We just had 11 minutes. Sorry, guys. Last one. Remember, you can pause at any time. All right. That's how you do a more difficult one. How about a whole number? Excuse me. What if we have a mixed number? What if we have 3 and 1/4? Well, we already kind of talked about this. This is the whole number. So in a sense, this is really 3 and 1 divided by 4. Okay, this is our whole number. So really all we're working with is this. Okay? That's what we're working with. And so let's go ahead and divide that then. 1 divided by 4. Now if that's confusing, I'll say it again. This whole number, it doesn't need to be turned in, it actually isn't a fraction, it's a whole number. And so it's already friendly with the decimals. And so really the only part that needs to be changed is the fraction portion of this mixed number. Alright, so let's work with that. 1 divided by 4, nope. 10 divided by 4, yeah, twice. Whoops. I'm really working on my 2's. I'm in that. What am I doing here? I forgot. I'm going to add another 0 because I can annex a 0 because it's literally no value, but it allows me to divide and get a part. Yes. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And now I have my answer. So yes. But don't forget, put it back together, and you would get 3 and 25 hundredths is the same as 3 and 1/4. So you need to practice. On your assignment sheet, it's very clear what to practice. Please look at these examples, work with it. A lot of this is review. It will take some time because your brains has some cobwebs from the summer. So be patient, work hard. I will see you on Tuesday, Monday. Well,